Hello, welcome to this episode of Let's Talk Death. I'm Fran Solomon.
And I'm Andy McNeil.
And we are thrilled to be your host for these conversations. Let's Talk Death is brought to you by Heal Grief, a social support network creating community after someone has died. Everything we do is inspired by our core belief that no one should ever need to grieve alone.
Our goal with this program is to have a friendly chat with some amazing people so we can help normalize and educate the Heal Grief community. Our guest today is Renee Lund. While in 7th grade, Renee's mom was diagnosed with ALS. Fighting through depression and anxiety after Renee's mom died, she decided to rise against adversity and work towards success. Renee, now 18 years old, is a senior in high school. She was chosen captain of her field hockey team, president of the Link Crew program, and was chosen to be her school's Rising Star of the Month, October of her senior year. Renee, we are delighted to have you as a guest on our show.
I'm very happy to be here.
So, Renee, you were so young when your mom was diagnosed with ALS. Can you tell us more about that from the eyes of a 7th grader?
Yeah. Well, actually, my mom, she was showing symptoms when I was in 5th grade, but doctors didn't really quite know what was going on, and so they false diagnosed her before. And so 7th grade is when we got the official diagnosis of ALS. And for me, I've struggled with that a lot because I don't remember much before my mom got sick. So most of my memories with my mom are when she was sick, and that's can be hard to grasp. But I know that there are good memories, and I see pictures and some come back, but overall at 7th grade and middle school is the developmental age for kids. And so that was hard for me. And that's where a lot of anxiety and depression came in, because I was figuring out who I was, but also watching my mom die in front of me.
Yeah. I wondered if you could share a little bit about, in those early days, you said that there was this depression and anxiety and the things that you were dealing with. Were there any things that you found that were particularly helpful at that time that you feel like propelled you forward and you were able to find strength or whatever it was that you were able to identify that helped you during that time?
Yeah. Well, writing has always been something that's been close to my heart, and it helps me express myself because I journal every single day, but I've also done some creative writing work that through my school, and I used to do poetry, but mostly I just journal every single day, and being able to get my thoughts out onto paper has really helped me just cope with what I'm going through.
Did you find, in looking back, did you find your journaling to be more filled with, I guess anger would be a great word, or was it more hopeful? Was it more factual? How was that for you?
It was a combination of both, depending on the day. I know there's some notebooks that I've kept because it's me documenting the good times in my life and documenting the positives in every single day, which I do more of now. But I know before, I have many notebooks which I've just thrown away because I look back at it and I was just so angry and I was just so frustrated with the situation, and throwing those away kind of lifted some stuff off my shoulders, because it was throwing away all the negativity in my life, and I was able to just get it all out and just move on from it.
Yeah, I've listened to so many people over the years just sharing with me in their grief how some of the words that people have used is, I was carrying this stuff around, and then someone said, you should write a letter, or you should do, and they were like, well, I don't know about writing. And then I don't know how many people have told me this. I finally sat down and wrote it, and I felt like this weight just lifted off of me. I felt like a cloud was over my head, and the sky cleared. And to hear you say that image of putting it on paper and then throwing it away, and that, taking that and doing something with that, how powerful that is.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Wow. So, Renee, what year, your mom died when you were in your senior year?
It was the summer between my junior and senior year, so in June of 2019.
So you actually really rose above that.
Yeah.
What was it? The journaling that inspired, or was it the finality of the disease? What was it for you that got you to that next level?
I've always been a hard worker, and I know that my mom saw that, and like I wanted to make her proud, and I knew I couldn't, like, I knew she would be proud of me no matter what, but I didn't want to sit in my sadness and sit in, like, of course I grieve like about her all the time, but I didn't want to sit and do nothing about it. And I wanted to take action and move forward with my life, because I knew that that's what she wanted, because she told me how she wanted me to move forward in my life after she was gone. And I knew that I had to do what she wanted, and I did everything I could to make her proud.
That was a gift she gave you.
Mm-hmm.
Wonderful.
So I wonder, so now you find yourself a senior in high school, and I wanted to bring in, I mean, we all know the situation that we're under at this point, and I am curious as to what are your thoughts about everything you're seeing going on right now, and how does that impact you? How do you see it impacting people around you?
Mm-hmm.
If in any way.
Yeah.
Actually, Renee wrote an article on the impact COVID-19 has had thus far on your senior year.
Yeah, I did. And I related it to like my mom's death, because like, and honestly, it like losing my senior year has been a different type of grief, and it's been hard for me to see like all of my peers go through grief, like some of them for the first time. But at the same time, I'm a little bit numbed to all of this. Like, of course, I'm devastated because I was looking forward to it. I was like after my mom died, I was like, oh, this gives me something to look forward to. But I know there's going to be light on the other side of the tunnel, because like I've gone through something way worse than losing my senior year. And so like this is like losing a materialistic thing. I lost a physical thing, but this is just a materialistic thing that like there's some people that just don't get to experience this just no matter what, because of like where they live and stuff. So I know that I'll get through this, and yeah, it's upsetting, but it's not the end of the world type of thing.
So I have a question for you. So I'm sure you have, or had, especially during the early part of your journey after your mother's death, a support mechanism. Are you finding that has changed now that everybody seems to be in this other type of grief and loss from connections?
Yeah, I do. And like my friends were a big part of me like getting past like my mom's death, and they were just a distraction. Like I didn't really talk to them about grief much, but they were just a good distraction, and not being able to see them every single day and like be able to connect with them has been hard, because, and then trying to help them, because I know they're very upset about losing their senior year. And so definitely losing that, and then just not being able to see like teachers and like counselors at my school that I looked up to, because they were a big like support and help after my mom passed. That like it's just that loss of like one-on-one human connection that is challenging. Yeah.
But are you finding despite the lack of the human connection that friends and support mechanisms that you've relied on have kind of dove into their own grief as a result of the COVID-19?
Yeah, they have. And so that has created a bit of a separation, because people are grieving on their own. And so it's not that much of like a lot of people that I see like on social media and stuff, like they're just focusing about the negatives about all of this. And that's been hard for me, because like I've tried to turn it around and see the positives of a lot of this stuff. And like, but looking on social media has just been so much negativity, and it's hard to even.
I think you're touching on something important here, and that is there's a certain perspective. You have a perspective because of what you experienced in life that a lot of your friends don't have.
Yeah.
I mean, for them, this is like the biggest thing they've been through. I had teenagers back when I was providing counseling in a place called the Emmaus Center, and my teenager clients would say to me all the time, if one more person says one more thing about their parents, at least they have their parents with them, and they would say these remarks. So there's this phrase in the bereavement field And it's a concept that was developed by a couple of researchers, and it's called post-traumatic growth. And we like to use the term post-bereavement growth. And it doesn't mean that we're happy someone died so we can grow, but the point is somehow we do. Like we grow mentally and emotionally in ways that maybe those around us are not experiencing because they haven't been through what we've been through. I wonder if you recognize that just in your own life.
Yeah, I do. Like, I definitely see that I've become a lot more mature. Like, I've had to mature quicker than a lot of my peers. And so, like, I see this situation, and like, there's so many people that I know that are still going out and seeing their friends and like not social distancing and just ignoring everything that the government's saying. And like, I try to put out there that like, you're only hurting others. You're benefiting yourself in that time, but you're hurting others like in the long run. And like, it's just the not lack of maturity level. It's just people don't see the big picture. And like, since I've been through so much, I see the big picture of a lot of things more. And so,
Well, I'm also curious about another thing. So over the years, I've worked with a lot of people who provide grief support to children, to teenagers, to young adults, and to adults alike. I wonder if you could say anything to those people, like the people who are providing the support, about what is helpful to a seventh grader who is watching your mom suffer with a disease, and or a junior in high school whose mom dies. What advice would you give to those professionals on like how to be helpful?
Great question.
What's helpful?
Actually, in the article that I did write for Grief Coach, I touched on how a lot of adults try to tell us that like everything's going to be okay. And like, we know everything's going to be okay, but we want to be told, I know things aren't okay right now, and I know things suck, but here's how to get like to be okay. And like, I feel like a lot of like people don't realize that that's what we need to hear. And they just want to tell us like, I'm sorry, it's going to be okay. And like, we know that, but we also know that things are not okay. And that like a lot of people just try to tell us, they don't give us steps to be okay. They just tell us it's going to be okay.
Yeah. Almost to smooth it over. Like let's talk about something else.
Yeah.
Almost a discomfort, really, even just talking about it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know there's so many adults that have like, I tell them that like, because for me it's hard, especially like going into college, because like I contact like professors at the school and like admissions people, and they're like, oh, is like your mom there? And I'm like, oh, it's my dad. And they're just like, oh, and then they like ask about my situation, and I tell them, and then I can just sense a discomfort. And that's one of the most frustrating things for me, because like I would expect adults to be like more okay with the topic of death, but they look at me and they see like someone so young, and they're just like, you shouldn't know the concept of death. Like, you're 18 years old, you shouldn't know that. And so a lot of adults just feel uncomfortable about it.
Yeah.
So often adults trying to protect young people, when really the very thing that any young person needs, whether they're a child, a teen, or a young adult, is space to dialogue about a reality. It's a truth about life, and we're so scared to talk about it so often. One of the things I remind a lot of adults about, when they ask me, they'll say, well, how do you have these conversations with children? I'll say, Disney's been doing it for years. Every one of the Disney princesses are bereaved children. All of them, just about all of them had a parent die, or Disney characters, or superheroes. Think about, most of them have had a parent die, and that's part of their story. So Hollywood's not afraid to deal with the reality. We as adults should be okay to have that conversation, because it's a reality we all live in, right?
And it's unfortunate that people still don't know what to say and how to deal with the emotions that they're concerned might be evoked in the person they're speaking to. And we're hoping to change that, especially through these conversations.
Yeah. So Renee, we actually, time flies by on the show, and so we are short of time. But before we go, I wonder if you had a last word you'd like to share. I don't know if you have advice for other teenagers who might be going through what you're going through. Anything you'd like to say? Just final words on that.
For sure. I know for me, what's helped me the most is just rising against adversity and not dwelling in the past and what's happened and just moving forward in life. I know that the steps there aren't easy. Like, it hasn't been easy for me, but I know that continuing on and just finding things that make me happy and just like finding things in life that bring me joy and focusing on those, that has helped me grow immensely as a person and just find who I truly am without the person that I lost.
Renee, you're a remarkable young woman, and your mother, I'm sure, is shining down very proud. We want to thank you for being our guest here at Let's Talk Death and for sharing your journey and the story behind your senior year and years before.
Thank you very much.
And thank you for those who are joining us for this episode of Let's Talk Death. If you'd like to learn more about Heal Grief, please visit us at healgrief.org. At healgrief.org, you can learn more about all the programs and resources of Heal Grief, including our national network of support of grieving young adults called Actively Moving Forward.
Make sure to sign up on healgrief.org to receive our newsletter for future links and episodes to Let's Talk Death.
And with that, thank you for joining us, and we will see you next time on Let's Talk Death.